What's up, people? Nature Girl 30 here. I just got done watching SummerSlam. Y'all, I will say this about SummerSlam. There were some matches that were fair. There were matches that were really good. There were matches that were surprising, and there was one match that was boring. I will say that for the kickoff match with RVD versus Cesaro, it was a pretty good match. It was pretty decent. I will say just decent. Because, I mean, these guys obviously had good chemistry, but it wasn't on the card. There really wasn't any significance to it. But either or, it really wasn't all that bad. I will say that the most impressive match of the night, in my opinion, was definitely the Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins match, the Lumberjack match. I was actually surprised because it started off pretty much as a Lumberjack match, but turned into a street fight. And I found it so funny how Dean Ambrose was all over the place, knocking people down right and left. And it was a really impressive match to watch. I honestly thought that he was going to try to throw Seth Rollins over the edge. I literally thought that. The only problem that I had with this match was the ending. There was no reason to have Kane out there whatsoever. And either or, it would have been great. It would have been a great finish without Kane being involved. But when he was involved, it just kind of took away from the match, and I didn't like the way it ended at all. But either or, the match itself was still pretty fair paced, as well as the great chemistry between the wrestlers in the ring and the way that the Lumberjacks reacted to everybody outside the ring. And I still think it worked well. It's just the ending was bad. But moving on to one of the main events of the night, and there were about maybe three of them. One of them, of course, was the Divas match between Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon. That match had a lot of hype behind it. And like I said before, they couldn't afford to fail. They couldn't afford to fail and be boring about this at all. Stephanie had to step up her game, and she really did step up her game a lot. I was really impressed with Stephanie. I had no idea that she can actually perform pretty well, but her husband is Triple H, and you can tell that she was well trained by Triple H, as well as Brie Bella being trained by Daniel Bryan. You kind of saw hints of their husbands in their performance. But either or, the ending was also unnecessary. But it would have ended well either way, but it was just completely pointless to have this ending. It was pointless to have Triple H come out. It was pointless to have the Nikki Bella heel turn. It was pointless. But the one thing that I noticed, as well as Mr. Griffin, and I was talking to him on the phone while watching this, is that the commentators did not notice the expression on Nikki Bella's face. There may be a little bit more to it. And also, maybe it's going to start a breakup with the Bella twins for a while and have them go their separate ways and maybe start a feud between themselves. We don't know how it's going to go. We just have to wait till Raw. But either or, the match itself was really done really well. And I was actually surprised and impressed with Stephanie's outfit, all that leather and stuff. And she really looked good. I mean, seriously, she really looked good. And she performed very well in the ring, and I really was impressed with that match overall. I will say that the match that I was least impressed with was Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. This match should have been a juggernaut, especially of how strong and how fast that Roman Reigns is. But the biggest problem is Randy Orton. Randy Orton is notorious for speeding up the pace depending on his opponent. That's the only weakness that he has. He has to have a good opponent to bring his A game, and if you're below him, then he won't bring his A game, he'll bring his C game. And he kind of brought his B game in this. He started out really slow and sluggish and boring throughout the entire match. I literally had to get some tea to stay awake. And then it started picking up after Roman Reigns started taking over. But either or, I like the fact that Roman Reigns won, because honestly, even though the RKO, the last 5 minutes of the match was really impressive, I will have to say that it was just boring and slow as molasses throughout the entire match. But they had the final match, the last 5 minutes, to come up and save it. So it wasn't horrible. It was just boring. But the next match on the card that I was somewhat impressed with was Jericho versus Bray Wyatt. I'm happy that it ended the way it did because Bray Wyatt needs to have the win more than Jericho. But like in Jericho fashion, if you wrestle with Jericho, Jericho will make you look good as long as you make him look good. And Bray Wyatt made him look good as well as vice versa. And it makes me really happy to see that happen. And I wasn't bored throughout the match at all. Bray Wyatt still pulled out his old tricks, and it was nice to actually see him without his minions, because the fact that he had a clean win shows that he can actually fight on his own. He can fight anybody on his own, and he doesn't necessarily need help. So in a way, this was an excellent thing for him, and I'm happy that it ended the way it did. But y'all, let's move on to the biggest talking point of the night. We have several matches that actually happened before that. I think there was maybe one more that I forgot. Oh yeah, two matches that I forgot. So before we talk about the main talking point of the night, we're going to talk about the two championship matches that I left out. Let's talk about the Divas match. AJ Lee versus Paige. Now, honestly, AJ Lee versus Paige, that match in itself I thought would be more technical, but it really wasn't. It was kind of a back and forth, but it was a little slow, but not too bad. It was actually a pretty good match. It was decent. I would say it was a pretty decent match. But as usual, Paige knows how to break out from the Black Widow. She broke out from the Black Widow really well and landed into a DDT or PDT. But either or, she ended up taking the belt back from AJ Lee, which shows me that somehow they are making the Divas Championship look cheaper than it already is. But it's really nice to have a proper heel to be a champion for a while. Since they're going to make Paige a heel, that'll work better for her. I prefer her to be an anti-hero, but she's not going to be one. So I have to deal with her being a heel. But we need to have a proper heel in order to have the next face look good. So now that AJ Lee is gone, maybe they're going to be passing the torch to somebody else. And honestly, I'm hoping that'll be Naomi, because Naomi is the best is the best champion, because she's pretty athletic. The only problem is she sucks on the mic. But we'll see where it goes from there. But either or, it ended fairly well, and it was a really good match. And also, I was really impressed on how Paige ended up countering the Black Widow. Really impressed with her. But let's talk about the first. It was pretty much the first match of the night, and this was for the IC title. It was The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. These guys obviously have great chemistry in the ring, and it's a given that The Miz really, really knows how to perform well with certain people. And of course, Dolph Ziggler can pretty much mold his way with anyone. And it was a really great and fast-paced match to watch. These guys may be really big for their size, but they can actually move pretty fast. And it was a really great match to watch. And yes, Dolph Ziggler is now the new IC championship holder. It makes me sad this is his second IC title. It should have been his fifth. He's been there long enough. But it's his second, and now he's the new champ, and it actually ended pretty well, and I enjoyed it a lot. But now that we got those out the way, and I probably did forget a match, and if I did, leave it in the comment section below. But either or, now that we got those out the way, let's talk about the main talking point of the night. Oh my gosh. I had so much fun, not only on Twitter, but I also had a lot of fun talking to Mr. Griffin about this, because we sat there and laughed the entire time. John Cena got owned. He got owned like he just got owned. There was no possible way to describe it. John Cena had absolutely not a shot in the dark of beating Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar beat the ever-loving crap out of him. At this moment, he's counting the many suplexes that Brock Lesnar was giving him all night. I'm not going to lie, y'all. John Cena did not have a chance to win that title back, and it could have went so many ways. If Brock lost and Cena got the belt, he would have lost the belt anyway to Seth Rollins after the match was over. But I'm so happy that Brock won. Oh my gosh, you have no idea how happy I am. I really am. We need a proper heel in order to make the belt look great and to make Cena look better than he already looks. I am hoping they allow him to hold the belt until Survivor Series, and when he drops the belt and Cena takes it, then you have Seth Rollins come in and swoops in, and Seth Rollins will hold it till WrestleMania. I'm hoping that that'll be the case, because you really want to have a good comeuppance story for John Cena in order to make his character look better. Make him look bitter for a while. Make him look like a frustrated face. Do something to make his character better. There's so many ways they can go here. But besides all that, this match was hilarious. This is the fact that he didn't have a shot in the dark of winning. And the fact that Brock practically owned him. He said he was going to leave him in a pile of his own urine. In a puddle of his own urine. his own blood and his own vomit, and he came close to doing that. Seriously, I love that match. That match was straight up brutal, and Brock Lesnar didn't disappoint. He beat the ever loving crap out of Cena, and I don't think we're gonna see Cena for Monday night. I don't think we are, but I am interested to see what Cena's gonna have to say for Monday Night Raw. But guys, I want to hear your personal thoughts about this year's SummerSlam. Leave your comments in the comment section below or send me a video response on what you think about this year's SummerSlam. Which match was your favorite? Which match do you think had the most talking points? And what do you think about Brock versus Cena? I want to hear what y'all have to say. It's Next Girl 30 signing off. Peace out, y'all. Later.